I turned 29 recently, and I decided that the place that I really wanted to go to for my 29th birthday was Centre Parcs. As someone who makes film photography his entire personality, as you can tell based off the hoodie, my first instinct was, what film camera should I take with me to this lovely relaxing place? The Nickelmat FT2 and the Yashica B. The Nickelmat FT2 is my everyday camera, so of course I was going to take it. There was no question in my mind. And I decided to take every lens I owned for it at the same time. I just take the 28mm, the 135, and then also the 50mm 1.8. Yashica B I'm taking is a somewhat newer camera to me. It's had a couple of outings, one to Portugal, took a pretty heavy knock, but it seems to be working absolutely fine. Luckily enough, I got gifted some 120 film, and I'm just going to go and sort of experiment and use it a bit to get more comfortable with it so I can take it shooting properly. I'm also going to be taking a off-camera flash, just a tiny little one that I got on Amazon, that again, very, very cheap, because I'm predicting some darker situations, and I don't mean darker as in like murder, I mean darker as in like there's no fucking light. I'll be bringing along 2 filters. Unlike me for filters, but it's going to be a simple yellow spot filter for the 50mm, along with a 8-star filter as well, just to give some nice diffusion. Now I've got a mixture of Kentmere 400, which I'm going to be pushing to 800 for 35. I've got Kentmere one roll of Kentmere 100 in 120 to use, which I'll probably keep to box, and then I've got a few rolls of Kodak Tri-X 400. Which again I'll be shooting at box just to make life a bit easier. Pushing 120 film can get a bit silly. So after we packed our bags and jumped on the wonderful Gatwick Express train all the way up to Reading, and Danny's suitcase inevitably broke the minute it left the house, somehow going through the Silent Hill dimension. I don't know what was going on in Brighton that day. Maybe there was a cult going on or a very large bonfire. We arrived at Gatwick, which was the wrong station, and then changed over to Reading. On the way there, I did shoot some photos, and I wish this one of Danny came out slightly better. I'm going to say about 3.5 stops underexposed. Don't look at me, I didn't get it wrong, the camera got it wrong. I also shot a photo of this woman waiting for her husband or partner to return from either the toilet or war, depending on your stance. And to be honest with you, given the state of some of the food that was being eaten on that Reading train, it may well have been both. After jumping off at Reading, not literally jumping off, but after getting off at Reading, we decided the best way to cure stiff legs from travelling would be to jump in the car and drive another hour and a half. So we jumped into Kieran Allen's car and we drove past this weird alien teleportation device. Some call it Stonehenge. And on a side note, I don't understand why you'd ever queue to go and look at some stones. They're just some stones. Don't think too hard about it. Don't worry about it. Once getting to Centre Parcs, I made sure that the minute we got through the front gate, I was on the last shot of the roll. So here's the first official shot of me at Centre Parcs. After having a very long and arduous day of travelling and sitting down all day and not really doing much, we called it a night, and I settled into pizza and non-alcoholic Coronas to make sure I was fresh and ready to go the next morning. Day 2 arrived, and I decided the first thing that I would do would be to double fist some Tri-X 400 into the Yashica B. I went with 400 first of all just because of where we were, and I kind of wanted to know what parameters I could get out of the light. So bizarrely, whilst I was loading the film, I got interrupted by some deer, so I had to make sure to shoot them on film, and the 135mm came in handy. After looking at some nature and appreciating its wildness and beautifulness, we decided to head over to our first activity of the week, which would be pottery painting. I made sure to stay incredibly on theme with my lack of artistic skills and making sure all my work looks like something Shrek would have made. However, I did manage to get a camera in there somewhere because, well, you know, you've got to, haven't you? Alan, on the other hand, paints Warhammer. So he was annoyingly good, and I had to photograph him being incredibly smug with his massive mushroom house. After finishing pottery painting, it was about lunchtime, so we decided to go and grab some lunch and then take a nice slow walk back through the beach home to our silly little shack. That evening we decided to go out for a late night swim. I didn't photograph that because I'm not weird. Left everything pretty much at home. I did get one photo as we were leaving of the changing rooms, which now I look back on it makes me look worse than the people with the phones in the swimming pool. After such a lovely evening swim and rewarding myself for shooting at least 2 photos that might be worthy that day, I decided to buy a massive slab of chocolate fudge cake and eat it in bed whilst watching film photography, because that's what all the cool kids do, right? Day 3, and now really feeling like I was in my element, both as Centre Parcs guests and also as a photographer again. I decided to finish off the Tri-X 400 quite quickly, and after a brisk walk down to the beach, I loaded in some of the old Kentmere 100, and I just continued to walk around this quite odd beach lake environment, shooting portraits of the guys, and then also photographing some nice little vistas. And I think actually I prefer some of the Kentmere shots than I do the Tri-X shots, which is bizarre considering the price difference between the two films. I think the Kentmere actually produced slightly better quality. I know it's a 100 speed versus a 400, but I feel in this case maybe my work leans slightly slower when I've got the old medium format out. After walking around and me pestering everyone for their portrait and shooting photographs of pointless stuff, we had worked up quite an appetite. But from there, it was then time to go and absolutely murder some mini golf. And we were joined on mini golf on hole 4 by a butterfly that, after I took this video and went to pull out my camera to photograph it, decided that it had had enough of our shit and flew away. After mini golf, we went back up to get some lunch because we knew we were going to have a late evening meal. So we went to get some lunch and collect our pottery pots. As the light was setting, I decided the best thing to do would be to get rid of the roll of Kentmere 100 and started using the Ishikabi a bit quicker compared to my normal style. So I fired off this shot of the guy feeding the fish with his kids. I really liked the atmosphere that was created here. There was sort of like a layer of fog in the forest, which seemed to be with us the whole week. Actually, it was this. I guess it's just because the amount of condensation it rises and then doesn't get above the leaves of the trees. And then naturally, I had to shoot a group photo of everyone very happy that they'd just gone and collected their pots that we spent about 2 hours painting. After this, it was time to head over for our spa evening. 3 hours of unfiltered relaxation time. I apologise. Here's 2 photos I took of outside the spa, and this is how it was when we went in, and this is how dark it was when we came out. Day 4, or otherwise known as the day we had all been waiting for. Today was Falconry Day, and I don't know about you, but I think birds now might be my entire personality. Kira was the most excited I'd ever seen a human being ever. They'd wanted to do falconry since before we'd set the trip up, so the idea that they were going to go and do it just made them ecstatic, I think, and we all followed suit. We arrived bang on 10 a.m, and then after getting dressed up in our best borrowed Game of Thrones gear, which Alan seemed to really revel in and kind of suit more than you should, we were ready to touch some birds. Having flown some feathered friends and deciding that birds are now our entire personality as a group, Kira volunteered to be chased by a Harris hawk known as Number 1, and luckily Number 1 didn't make Kira Number 2, you know what I mean. After leaving the birds and the crazy woman who kept referring to herself as mum to them, not going to go into it, we went back to our little lodge to have a little recharge, get some lunch, and then we headed back out to go for a nice evening sunset swim. I didn't take my camera into the swimming pool. I didn't take my phone into the swimming pool. I'm not weird, and I think people that do are really weird. After throwing ourselves down the rapids about 1,000,000 times, we were ready to go and get rid of some of our excess energy by throwing balls down an alleyway. After queuing up every song in Creed's discography on the free touch tunes, Never Let Me Near a Free Jukebox, I bowled an absolutely alpha 73, only being beaten by Kira, who bowled around an 85. I threw the flash on the camera to capture some sort of party vibes. However, I mostly ended up capturing motion shots of people's bowling stances and this terrible photo of me taken by Danny. Thank you for this. However, the fit did go insanely hard. Now it being around 8:30, 9 o'clock, we were absolutely famished from all of the swimming and bowling, very difficult exercises. So we decided to head up to one of the restaurants and crash the 40th birthday party and eat our body weight in Mexican food and then feel quite sick afterwards. From there, we jumped on the old Landy T, the land train, which we had been using all week. It's just I hadn't really filmed much of it up until this point. Because it's a train that you get on that kind of just drives you around. It's not that exciting. However, this time round, I did manage to find a shot on it, and I'm kind of amazed that it came out at all. I was shooting at like f1.8. It was poorly lit, literally no light, and I think I was maybe at about 1/30th, maybe 1/60th of a second, and somehow I managed to capture a street light, kind of giving the guy a ring light or the girl a ring light. I don't even know. I didn't even see them after this, so I have no idea. Well, the final day had arrived, and as usual, when you leave somewhere, you have to make sure that you leave the room as messy as physically possible, right? Oh no, wait. You've made the room as messy as possible whilst you've been there, and then you have to tidy it up. So after doing that and shooting one last group photo along with our wall of activities and ratings that we decided to give throughout the week, because after all, we are children, we jumped in Kira's car after she nearly crashed into a tree, and from there headed home, really. Although we decided not to waste the day because we've had to leave at about 10:30 because of Centre Parcs' bizarre exit system where you have to leave incredibly early. But we headed over to Bath. It's a city I hadn't been to since I was probably about 12, and I don't really remember it at all being that good. But then it didn't contain Thundercats, Thunderbirds, codename Kids Next Door, or pizza, so I probably wouldn't have cared about it at the age of 12. Before actually heading into the city centre of Bath, we made a quick pit stop at Bath City Farm Zoo, or Bath City Farm. I don't know if it's a zoo or not. It's cool. It's full of animals, and I decided to put some tea, trim some Tri-X 400 back into the Yashica Bee and shoot some portraits of some animals. After also deciding that I must somehow descend from pigs based on the smell and attitude of the animals, I carried on firing some more photos off of them to make sure that our family lineage stays complete when I eventually die. Then I found Alan sitting on a tyre and made a photo series of him and what can only be described as his two carers. Yeah, it's a special kind of friendship that those lot have. So I headed into Bath City Centre, and I decided to stick with 35mm for the time being, and I had the 50mm with the star filter essentially glued on it the entire week anyway. We shot some photos, we had a walk around, and I think Bath is actually a really good city to go for street photography, if I'm being honest. I would probably head back there. The architecture alone kind of gives you this, anything works if you just sit and wait for the scene to develop. Also, I couldn't not shoot a photo of Alan and Kira from behind holding hands, especially with the cobblestones and kind of like the old architecture. It looks like something out of a Victorian book. I think, when you go away with people, to capture little things like that is good for them anyway. And it also works quite well as an image anyway. What can we take away from photographing essentially a holiday in the way that I have? It's possible to do it and have a relaxing time. In fact, if anything, I found it more relaxing shooting whilst I was on holiday. The only thing I will say is there will be a lot of running to catch up with the group of people after you've taken the photo, because you've spent maybe a minute and a half composing the shot. I also think shooting in the way that I did allows me to create something like a physical memory for the people you go with, and I think that's quite an important thing to do. I actually have these photos physically, and they're going to be here forever with the negatives, and it gives them that sort of like tangible object to remember the week by. For the next holiday, I'm thinking maybe to add a small digicam, a tiny little one, and that's mostly just to capture motion on, because I felt like a bit of a Burke pulling my phone out. I think to have a small digicam and just give a bit more of a vibe to the overall, I think phone cameras are a bit too clean and a bit too clinical. Also, I'd quite like a digicam to have just for like those low light shots. It once it gets past dark, even 800 speed film with a flash just isn't good enough, and the option to either have a very small digicam in your pocket or carry around a tripod and do long exposures, I'm going to take the digicam, because I'm lazy and I don't want to carry around a tripod when I'm on holiday. So yeah, moving forward on the channel, expect to see a lot more medium format work, hopefully some more trips that I get to do and document this. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Have a good one, keep shooting film, and print everything that you make. Just print it. Peace.